Hey everybody, what's happening? Dan Shinder here on Drum Talk TV. I hope you're all well and safe. Dan Shinder on Drum Talk TV, broadcasting from Globe, Arizona, 100 miles east of Phoenix, up in the mountains. And my guest today is a show contributor, my dear friend Dominic Fragman from St. Leonard in Maryland right now. How are you, Dom?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you very much. Thanks for taking time out of, you've got a really busy schedule lately, so I appreciate this. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, I'm always grateful to be here. Always a pleasure to be on the channel and have some fun.
Thank you. And we appreciate you taking time to do the Wicked Chops live series, which is a lot of fun. I still need to work on that some more. Folks, folks, Dom will do a demonstration in a little bit, but and you may know him from that show that we do, but we've also got all kinds of other things to talk about. Two projects, one that's under the umbrella of the other. I got that right. The Spirit of Jazz and Democracy, which is under the umbrella of the Spirit of Innovation and Freedom. And it's a really great project that Dominic co-founded with the jazz legend drummer Paul F. Murphy. The F stands for effing, by the way. When you see his drumming, you'll know why. Paul, I hope you're watching. And I love the idea of this project because it really is all about, for me, what I've gotten out of it so far, it's all about mindset. And they've teamed up with some people in aviation. Dom will explain, but it's really, really interesting. So why don't you give a quick overview of the Spirit of Innovation and Freedom, and then I'm going to show a clip of you playing guitar for a change. Some of you might remember Dom playing guitar in his solo trio projects, but this is jazz improvisational guitar with Paul effing Murphy on the drums. But explain the project, Dom.
So the Spirit of Innovation and Freedom is it's a group of musicians. It's me, Paul Murphy, and poet laureate Jerry Carroll. And we play completely improvised music that has been recognized as a new sound in music. So we say we can have this credential to speak as innovators, and what we do in the Spirit of Innovation and Freedom is, I don't know if you've noticed or if anybody watching has noticed, but there's quite a buzz around innovation these days, probably for the past 7 years or so in corporations and academia, in the government. And everyone is talking about innovation and has this interest in innovation. So we say we can share the mindset of innovation from the perspective of the arts and show how that mindset of innovation is similar across disciplines, which is where we have paired up with the folks in aviation, aerospace engineers, fluid mechanics researchers, and these sorts of things who are doing groundbreaking work in their fields. And we share the mindset of innovation as one of mutual listening, open communication, positive interaction towards progress, and the exploration and embracing of different ideas and perspectives, which is not only a good way to do a task or a venture, it's a good way to be a human. So and that embodies those things and puts it on display. So
that's great. And what you just described there is sort of like the headline, if you were to find context for what this means. Like, how does music and aviation, how are they related? And as Dom is explaining, it's through innovation. And you know, sometimes the greatest ideas in technology, like music, do come through improvisation. The biggest difference might be that with aviation, you might want to be firm on an end result, whereas the music can be forever improvised.
Right. The tolerance for risk in aviation is probably quite a bit lower than that for the creative, in the arts and music.
Right. In music, it just means less groupies. That's all.
Indeed.
Well, I'm going to show a video. And it's Consyncness. Can you explain what you and Paul are doing before I show the video?
So the music that you're about to hear is completely improvised, and it's based off of an exploration of concepts that are more and more like developing your own vocabulary. So when you are searching for music is an expressive tool of creativity and imagination. And so often we find ourselves in professional situations that put parameters on that imagination and say that it should be this is the way you do it. This is the way it's supposed to be, and this is what we're going to pay you for. And that's all fine. You must play the gig. But if you have the desire to pursue something like that, you can get involved in creating a really different concept and approach to playing. So what Paul and I are doing is putting that into action and trying to find our own ideas and expressions of the time and melody and harmony, and doing it in a way where we create something that, facilitates both of our expressions and tells a story. So that's what
that's great. And folks, I want to give an artistic disclaimer that this is not designed to be top 40. This is not designed to hit the charts. Some people may describe it as somewhat esoteric. It's exploration, and I love this stuff. I have since I was very young. I think that's why the more popular music I do listen to, for the most part, is a bit different. So let's pull that up, and here we go. Oh, wrong video. Hold on. We'll show that one after. Here we go. Awesome. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, what the F was that all about? And it's all about being creative. And like Dom said, it's also expressing a language. Paul's playing has always fascinated me, and it's obvious to see where the roots of your playing are, being, protege of Paul's for so many, it's been like 12, 13 years, I think. He just has such an interesting touch. And I'm going to show a solo of you in just a little bit where, one of the things I love when I watch you solo, and then we'll get back to that project, is you can play with such drastic speed, yet it's not loud, and you're often just gracing and brushing across the surface of a cymbal or a drum head, and that takes a lot of work, and we'll get to how you got to that in a little bit. But let's go back to the project and talk about who attends these. Where does it take place, and what is the biggest takeaway for people who do attend?
Sure, those are good questions. Right now, we do a couple different things, and one of them is marquee type events that are concert panel discussions. Another one of them is a podcast that is sponsored by a University of Maryland research facility called TechPort, And the podcast is called Progress Culture, and we play and have conversations with people. And I'll come back to who's attending these things, because obviously that answer is has some variation in it, not only because of the people, but because of the current situation in the world,
right?
And events and how those things. And the other thing we do is actually thought leadership consulting. So we would work with a company, or the Navy is one of the people that we talk a lot with about how to develop a more a culture in your organization that facilitates creativity and progress, creative problem solving, agile thinking, and these sorts of things. Collaborative networks for intellectual sharing. You can see we deal with those sort of things. But the marquee events are interesting because a lot of times where we are based at here in Southern Maryland, we're close to what's called the Patuxent River Naval Air Station, which is the premier site for naval air research in the world. So we have more PhDs and aerospace engineers per square foot than pretty much any damn place in the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I go in to do event, and I've got people down here that are astronauts that are interested to speak. I have people. One of the guys that was a part of one of our recent events, his team was the first to deliver the human organ by drone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was last year. His team delivered in Baltimore, took a kidney and delivered a kidney by drone from, and everything went down, and the kidney was transplanted, and everything is still working. They still keep in touch. It's a pretty exciting development.
Was that drone, I mean, the first thing I think of was they should retire that drone and put it in the Smithsonian or something.
Check it out. That drone, when you look at that video consyncness, if you're looking at
that's behind you?
That's one of the drones.
Hold on, let me pull that up again.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, right there, folks. Wow, how fascinating.
So what's interesting about drones, and what I've learned from being around all these people, is that drones are made up of a series of what they call single point failures. So that means that if any single thing on that drone fails in flight, the whole thing fails.
Yeah.
So you have to mitigate your single point failures. And one of those things, if you look at that drone, you can see, I believe there are 4 rotary motors that have propellers on them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 6.
Okay, there's 6. Now, if any one of those fails, the whole thing is no good. So what they started to do after that model was they built rotary motors. So if here's your propeller right here, they put a propeller here and they put a propeller here. So now each arm, instead of having one propeller, has 2. And if one of those propellers on that arm fails, you're still good to go.
Wow, that's amazing. It's funny, you have astronauts. This is such a weird coincidence. You have astronauts who attend your events. I have space cadets.
We got those too, man. Yeah, so those events are attended by people in the community from anywhere from young high school kids. We don't like to talk over anybody's heads. We want to share these ideas in a way that is easy to comprehend and easy to experience. And usually that's the feedback we get, is that people's minds are blown. Well, we're talking about concepts that they're not used to talking about. One of the recent events that I had, I passed out an infographic. It was a pie chart, and it had, you've probably seen it, it's a little tiny sliver on the pie chart, and it says, things that you know. And then a little bit bigger of a sliver, and it says, things that you don't know. And then the whole rest of the pie chart says, things that you don't know that you don't know.
Yeah.
And so we try to bring people into that mindset of being open to different ideas and perspectives, because the spiritual aspects, the quantum mechanics and actually thermodynamics, the laws of thermodynamics and quantum mechanics show that the universe is made up of infinite possibilities. And that when an occurrence happens, it releases even more possibilities out into the universe. So there are always things that are developing and things that you don't know, and that you don't even know that you don't know. So you should be open-minded to that which is different. And
right. Well, I love how you've got all that that brain power of all of these people from, with PhDs and high level people in the Navy and everybody else that is part of the projects and attends. Yet it's a very progressive model of thinking, and I think a lot of people don't expect that. They think that it would be more of an engineering sort of way of thinking where it's very black and white, fold flap A, insert it in slot C, and that's just the way it's ever going to be. But that's not the case with this, which leads me to say that that's what I love about music. There is no right or wrong in music. There's only new discoveries. There are guidelines, there's fundamentals, there's circle of fifths, there's key, all that stuff, but there's no rules in music. And that's what's so great about improvisational music, which is so great about jazz, America's only original art form, which is wonderful, and it's admired by people from all corners of the world. Can we switch to a drumming topic?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
One thing I would say, I want to say one thing on the end of that real quick, and that is in regard to the rules and the right and wrongs of music or anything really. I just want to say real quick that theory and rules, they explain phenomena. They don't generate it.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah.
The theory, the phenomenon itself should not be subjugated to the theory.
Right.
The theory comes in and explains the phenomenon. After, whether or not the phenomenon is understood, it's there.
Right.
If you don't know what a tree is, a tree still exists.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because I use that in business. As you know, I teach and consult social media marketing based on the success of what I've done with Drum Talk TV. I teach it in the music industry. I teach it and provide the service and consulting outside the music industry. And there's a lot of people my age. It's interesting. A lot of people my age or older, and even some people that are younger. I'm 57. Believe it or not, folks, I know I only look about 55. And and a lot of people just don't, I guess I'll use the word believe it. And so I say you need to understand that just because you don't believe it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. You need to get your head around that. And when they do, they clear the slate, and now they're open, like you said, that open model of thinking, and they're able to progress. So I love the correlation there, how those fit together. I want to show a drum solo. I want to show you doing your drum solo composition Wavelengths, and then I want to talk about your drumming and how you develop this technique and our fun product that you use. And folks, this isn't an infomercial or anything, but it's a way Dominic has honed his skills to be able to do what he's done, as well as work with Paul for a long time.
While you're showing that, can I go run and grab a book real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be right back.
Okay, no worries. Here is Wavelengths, folks. Check this out.
Yeah.
I love that freaking solo. I love to watch you play. I know a lot of drummers don't even care for solos. They don't do solos. They think solos are boring. As my primary instrument, I find solos fascinating, and I watch solos even of styles of music or techniques I don't even play. There's so much, such an endless freaking instrument, which I suppose all instruments are, that I love to see different things. So talk about the technique, and as I mentioned earlier, the speed in which you're able to implement without it having to be really loud and just being able to grace the surface of the heads and the cymbals and all that. Kind of talk about how this all developed.
Yeah, so, well, the technical development in general, I guess, really began. I started playing drums probably when I was about 7.
That's when I started.
I didn't take a lesson until I was like 17.
Oh.
And I didn't really know what rudiments were or anything like that, or anything really. I just played a lot. It's all we did, hanging out when I was younger. And, well, I guess it's all I still do, but I didn't know anything about the ways that the methods, the rudiments, the scales, theory, none of that stuff until I was in college. And at that point, I think I started to put in about 10 hours a day when I was about 18, 19.
Wow.
And then probably went through that period, a short-lived period, probably until I was I was just a year of that, and then I was back to like 2 to 4 hours a day. And then when I was 23, I met Murphy. And then I started about 10 years of 10 plus hours a day.
Wow. And you're 35 now, right?
35 now, yeah. So when I was 23 to about I was 32 was about 10 hours a day or more.
Right. And folks, go ahead, Dom.
I was just saying plus gigs, you know.
Yeah. Well, the way Dom and I met, if I remember correctly, was I know what it was. I saw a video of you doing your solo trio act. And folks, if you don't know what that is, Dom sings, plays guitar at the drum set at the same time. Does all three. Get it? Solo, trio. And what I saw him playing was War Pigs by Black Sabbath outdoors at twilight with this crowd just going nuts. And I reached out. I said, hey, can we put that on Drum Talk TV? And Dom, like, as good as that was, it doesn't make up who he is as a musician. So he sent me this other video where he was playing on this tiny 1.5-inch practice pad in one side of the screen, and the other side he's playing his drum set, and he's playing the same thing on both sides. And I think there was some trade-off, and I was just like fascinated by this. So I said, can I put that on Drum Talk TV? And so we became friends, and he explained this product. I still have a couple of the prototypes in my closet here. And I'll hold mine up close. I've got the only gold one in the world. It's the Wicked Chops practice pad, which they being Paul F. Murphy and Don Witter had a patent on it. And for all intents and purposes, Dominic was like the poster boy for this product. And so I got involved, and I helped get it licensed to Ahead. So Ahead distributes it and manufactures it in the U.S. It's just like this takes. It's 100% CNC machined aluminum. It screws onto the top of the stand. It's got the same head surface that Bob Kasha uses on these. It's just a different thickness. And so Dominic, there's the black one. Yeah, so Dominic does a show now about once a week where he plays the Wicked Chops. It's called Wicked Chops Live. He plays the pad. And what a lot of people misunderstand, and this is not selling. This is not selling anything. This is about technique. And a lot of people see him play this or see somebody play this, and they say, but I don't want to just hit the center of my drum. They think that's all this is for. Or they say, I can just draw a circle on my drum. And neither are correct, and here's why. When you can focus on, Dom, don't worry, I'll let you speak and demonstrate in a moment. when you can when you can play on a surface this small extremely articulately, like Dom's going to demonstrate in a moment. Imagine your drum kit for a moment, whether it's a 17-piece like mine or my 4-piece jazz kit or his 4-piece kit right there. Every piece of your kit, your hi-hats, your cymbals, your drums, they've got different sound surfaces all over them. So if you can hit this consistently doing crush rolls, paradiddles, flamadiddles, hidden-macues, hoozy doodles, wiki doodles, whatever you're doing, that means anywhere you aim on your kit where you know you can get a particular sound, you'll be able to do that. But there's other benefits that Dom will explain. And the reason why drawing a circle on your drum head doesn't work is simple. Many reasons. The first and primary reason, correct me if I'm wrong, Dom, is that when you have a circle written on a head that's 14 inches or whatever, if you miss it, how do you really know you miss it, right? If you miss this, you're going to clank the side, you're going to hit your knee or your nard or whatever, and you know you missed it. So, Dom, why don't you demonstrate? And, folks, I'm going to give some shout-outs in a moment. Thank you so much for joining us. He's starting with single-stroke rolls, and call out the rudiment as you go through. I love the high stroke and being able to come down on this tiny surface. Look at that. It's crazy.
Here's some doubles. As in a duple feel, as I would say, which is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or you have a triplet feel. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Still doubles. Or you could even do odd groupings. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So you can do single stroke 4s, erratic cues, drags,
Flams.
flams, all of that stuff.
Do you have marching sticks handy?
Say it again?
Do you have marching sticks handy to show people that? Check this out. This is crazy. Every time I watch Dom do this, I realize, man, I got to spend more time with this. Ah, he's got the Ahead. Nice. Look at that.
Eyes closed.
Amazing. I want to tell a quick story, Dom. Back when we first licensed this to Ahead, we made a bunch of promo videos. Dom went into a recording studio, beautiful setting, great sound, set up a couple different cameras, and I was kind of coaching him saying, so while you're playing, say, and he said, wait, what do you mean say? I said, yeah, while you're playing, say that. He's like, dude, I can't talk while I'm playing this thing. And I was like, dude, get your shit together. And now, as you just saw, he can play without looking. He's talking. It's just amazing to me. It really is.
I remember being like, what? Say stuff. Like, not say stuff. Not just like, okay, play and talk, and whatever comes out of your mouth is fine.
But explain.
Like, hey, here's the points you have to hit in 32 seconds, and while you're playing, go. And I was like, who's doing this?
You are, but dude rose to the occasion. I don't know. Let's see how the audio sounds on your kit. Why don't you explain a little bit more about how this has been instrumental, no pun intended, on how you translate what you do there to the drum set. And I think the sound will be okay because it's the same setup when you do the lives, right?
Actually not. I don't have my mic.
Oh, that's right. So let me show your solo again after you explain how you translate this to the kit, and I'll play the solo.
The main thing here that I like to point out, and as much as it seems like it goes to this as a product, this doesn't have any, but I do this regardless of product. I was doing this before it was even available as a product, and the reason why is because it is the most spectacular practice tool I've ever encountered. And part of the reason for that is because it's so small, it requires you to focus more. So when you're focused more, you get more out of what you're doing. The benefits will increase and they will be expedited.
Please use the TV analogy.
The TV, oh yeah. You will not be able to sit here and play and watch TV while you're doing this. You'll miss. You won't be able to hang out with your buddies or talk on the phone or whatever it is that people like to do that isn't paying attention to what they're playing.
Until you get to the level you see right there.
Yeah. That was a pain in the butt.
10 years.
But anyway, so with that focus, think about that. Think about where that puts you in your state of mind when you are focused. You're in that place. I believe that this is a tool that very easily puts you into the zone. And think about what happens when you're in the zone. When you're in the zone, your mind is refined, it's sharp, you understand things. It's almost information we're going by in the air, you can pluck it out and take a look at it, right? So when you're in the zone, you can do some analysis. But when you're in the zone, think about that. When you become aware that you're in the zone or somebody else picks at you, you're distracted and you get out of the zone. With this tool, I have been able to increase the amount of time that I can stay in the zone and also analyze what I'm doing. Because I develop relaxation. If you can relax and play on this pad, when you get over to these things, you're going to float like butter. And all of those different sounds from the middle of the head to the outside to the bell of the cymbal to the crash sound of it, you'll be able to better access those. You'll be able to be more relaxed physically and mentally. And when you have that clarity, you have a better ability to express your thoughts and execute them. Think about that. Anytime you have you have that lack of clarity in any situation, if you're angry or if you're really excited and happy, the decisions that you make are not as sound as those that you would make in clarity.
Right.
So when you have that clarity, it's much smoother. Your articulation of your words is much smoother and clearer.
Right.
Your articulation of your musical ideas will be smoother and clearer. And you'll begin to start to pick out some things that are just yours. Right. Instead of imitating, or not that there's anything wrong with that, but I get excited about the stuff that comes from beyond. And this has helped me to do that because technique is the mother of invention.
Yeah. Let's show your solo again.
Sure.
For those that joined us late, and also just to sort of go to that part of the loop of what Tom's explaining, here's the application to the drum kit. Check this out. wacky. I just love that. I want to give some shout outs to people watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's kind of cruise through the comments real quick. Let us know if you have any questions for Dominic as well. Chip Ritter was watching. I don't know if he's still on. Hey, Chip. Walter Robertson, Levon Stram, James Warda, Brent Larroquet, Nick Volpe, Phil Kamza, Joshua Thompson, John Cargill. How are you? David Holmes, how's it going? James Marler, Rico Shepard says all the best, Drum Talk TV. Thank you so much. Dennis Kashmir, I think. Cashmire. Dennis from Baltimore, close by Dom. And we have Saleh watching from Bangladesh. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Let us know if you have any questions at all. And Dom, every time I know a lot of people are going to think I'm kissing ass or something. I'm just complimenting. When I watch you play, it reminds me, I need to practice.
I need to practice too.
That's awesome.
One of the techniques or one of the tools that I have used a lot if you think about it, Paul's 71, and he's seen and been through a lot of stuff and has known a lot of the people like Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa, Louis Bellson, and Max Roach and Elvin Jones.
He played at Louis Bellson's wedding.
Yeah, right. He was the premier. Louis asked him to be the premier soloist at his wedding among like 25 other drummers, including like Dave Vivaldi and stuff. So that is just to say that he came through a lot of stuff and knew there was a lot of different things about the music scene back then. And that isn't to say what was different about it in the generations before. And one of the things that was particularly different about those times were the amount of gigs and playing time that working musicians would get. A lot of those gigs would start at dinner time and go through the wee hours of the morning. So you're playing with a group and getting experience for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And that's if you play 1 or 2 gigs of the available 4 or 5, right?
Right.
Now you're lucky if you have 1 gig or 3 gigs a week. Well, right now with the pandemic, nobody I know really has any gigs. I have this gig with Murphy for this podcast called Progress Culture, where we get to play and talk. But basically what I'm getting at is the amount of playing time that one gets to do really affects the progress that one makes. Sure. It doesn't come from practice time, it comes from the live and stage performance too. And so without that, with a diminished ability to have performances and improvement time, I used videos and recordings obsessively. I would record 3 to 5 drum solos a day, every day, listen to all of them, pick them apart, see what was going on that I didn't like. Often I'd find that things that I thought were awesome were terrible, not even worth exploring any further. But when you're doing them in your room or in your space, you think, wow, this sounds really great. If you don't have any way to keep that in check, and you do because you were alive in 2020 and you had video and audio recorded, you can put intense scrutiny on what you're doing and really refine it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I want to give a shout out to Brad Burge.
Hey, Brad. Brad uses the Wicked Couch Pad. He's very good.
Send us a video, Brad. He's in New Jersey. Dom, who, other than me, whose solos do you watch that you like go, wow, that's really neat, or get something out of? Who do you like to watch?
It's funny because the further I get into the development of things that are closer to some more complete, it'll never be complete, but a more complete version of my own ideas, you begin to basically listen and study yourself and start to cut out the others. But over the years, when I was doing intense study of drummers and the soloists in particular, because it wasn't just soloists, like I really dug guys that played in like Salif Keita's bands. I didn't always know everybody's names, but I really, really dug West African music. and Yasu Benor, Salif Kaita, almost Sangare. I also was really into North Indian classical music and South Indian music, stuff, the whole
Carnatic.
That stuff.
Yeah, the Carnatic stuff is beautiful.
But outside of that, with the particular focus on soloists as drummers, all the guys, you know, Krupa, Buddy, Louie, Sonny Payne, Sam Woodyard, Rufus Jones, Billy Joe Jones, Papa Joe Jones.
Yes, one of my favorite solos ever is of Papa Joe Jones, I think in 1957, where he's doing this amazing rim stuff and puts the sticks aside, doing his fingers, not his hands at first, his fingers, and he's karate chopping everything. Just amazing with that big smile on his face.
Yeah, he's got a great book out called, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's a book that is in his voice. I have it upstairs.
I want to get that. And you grabbed a book while we were playing your solo. Talk about that.
So
is it a coloring book?
Yes. Essentially, it is a coloring book.
Oh, quite colorful.
It's a book, 340 pages that Paul Murphy and I wrote together called The Continuum Method.
Wow.
And it basically goes through from the very beginning of stick holding to all, you know, spreading out, doing the rudiment stuff, but then also all the ways that I developed in shapes, in geometry to go around the drum set, 2 strokes, 4 strokes per instrument per surface, 1 stroke per surface, and then it goes through. Oh man, I hate to say like, oh, I've never seen anything like this, but I have never seen anything like the way we put this out. Like, I take a total drum set concept. Here's one with the waltz. I did some in melodic alignment where I put ba 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 ba, and you put a continuum of notes underneath, and you highlight where the accents are, and then you begin to move that all around the drum set, and keeping that melodic alignment happening, as you can see in the top staff. It shows you how all those notes align with the melody of a field, whether or not it's funk, or rock, or bebop, or bossa nova.
Wow.
We took all these melodies, and we tried to use ones that everybody would know, like Happy Birthday and things like that. So we always have you singing, so you always have a song in your heart and in your mind that you can express over it and go through developing not only intense technique and craft, but to try to highlight how you can develop a method that facilitates the development of your own ideas. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And is the book out? Is it for sale?
Well, here's a letter from Alfred that says, thanks for submitting, we're not publishing.
Oh, well then I'll tell you what, let's give that one away. The first person who can answer, no, I'm kidding. So, you know what?
We're working on it, you know. I think at this point, we're just kind of hanging on to it. I've taken examples out of it for clinics and for lessons and just giving stuff away.
Put it out on Amazon.
I was thinking about it, but at this point, I think the thing that I do, I really want to try to, get to Hudson or Mel Bay or something like that and break it down into maybe 4 books.
Okay.
We were exploring options a lot more last year, but it's been so busy this year with programming, and then things with the pandemic. I've been working with all these engineers that I've been telling you about. Dude, I was on the news. On NBC, these guys developed the heat sanitization unit that they had built. It will sanitize up to 8,000 masks an hour. And we are on the doorstep of FDA approval, and we're going to be able to help people real soon. These things can, like I said, they're sanitized PPE. We have one on site at a local hospital right now that's sanitizing equipment, medical equipment for use down here in Southern Maryland. And with this FDA approval, we'll be able to take that all over the world. So, and it's a nonprofit organization not looking to make any money. We want to help people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so Dom has not enjoyed the same thing I have in what I'm going to show you all, yet it's worked out well for him. So my Drum Talk TV shirt says, "Drumming keeps me off the news." That has not worked for Dominic, as he just explained, which is great because we love that you're doing that project. When's your next Wicked Chops Live? Do you know? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you don't know, that's okay.
I would say my best bet right now, what I try to shoot for, is Mondays.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm hoping that June 1st is
awesome.
So Monday, maybe at about 6:37 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, cool. So folks, tune in. Drum Talk TV's Facebook page on Drum Talk TV Live, 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. Hopefully his schedule will allow him to do a Wicked Chops Live. And it's an expanded, exploded version of what he demonstrated, and it's very interactive. Brad knows, he's on all of them. A lot of you other folks are. You can ask questions, ask him to demonstrate something specific, or if you missed something that you didn't understand, he'll redo it, and it's fascinating stuff. I need to make time. See, my problem as a drummer is I don't make time to work on my playing. I know that sounds lame, but I'm running two big companies, Drum Talk TV, my social media company, and it's like, it's hard for me to find time. Sometimes finally at midnight or 1 in the morning, I'll say to my wife, I feel like playing. She'll say, so go in the studio and play. And I'll just play just to play. I do not feel like working on my chops. I'll just play to some of my favorite music for half an hour or something to get that out of my system. And then there's Dan's almost daily vlog, which is a few times a week. I play during that. And it's difficult for me to, I'm not making excuses. I'm explaining that it's difficult. I know a lot of you has the same thing. You got a job, you got kids, you're in a band. There's all these things. When do I get to work on my stuff? When I see Dominic doing things like we saw, that's when I want to stick this on a stand and work on my stuff. I've not gotten to the point, as long as I've had these, I've not gotten to the point where I can hit it more than 4 times in a row, traditional grip with my left hand. I cannot go dot, 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 dot that quickly with it. I'm much better match grip because that's how I play French and German grip. But that is so difficult for me still, so I need to work on it. And folks, if you are interested in this, go to bigbangdist.com. That's Big Bang Distribution. Or go to Ahead. Is it Ahead.com or Ahead Drumsticks?
You could
I'm spacing out.
You could Google Wicked Chops Practice Pad.
Yeah, Google Wicked Chops Practice Pad. It's also in the link is in all of Dom's lives that he does with us. And it is indeed a great tool. Don't draw a circle on your head. And don't think for a moment this is all about just hitting the center of a drum. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it so much. Brad says I'm busier during the quarantine than when we weren't. So am I. I could totally relate. Brad will be there Monday. Hope the rest of you will too. Doug Lee, thanks for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, so much. And if you're watching this on the archive, what's wrong with you? Why did you miss the live? No, I'm kidding. If you're watching it on the archive, watch for more of these. Click get notifications so you get a little window pop up when we go live. Thanks, everybody. Dominic, hang on the line. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. Always love to be here. Looking forward to the next one.
Stay safe, everyone. Peace!